Welcome to the first episode of Patchworked. I'm your host, Lisbeth Palmer. I'm going to give a quick intro and a long intro. If you're not into the solo pod style, never fear. Most, if not all of my future episodes will be conversations. The quick version is that I am a videographer. I love documenting impact for social good organizations, and one of my favorite parts of my job is getting to have conversations with interesting people, both on and off camera. But so often these conversations are outside of the scope of what the video is supposed to be about, or we don't have time to have a good long chat, and I am left wanting to keep it going. Unlike short marketing videos, humans are multifaceted, much like a patchwork quilt. We all bring a unique combination of stitches, threads, and fabrics to the table, and while some of our patches match up with someone else's, no two patchworked quilts are going to be the same. This podcast is going to be full of conversations that are built the same way. There are similar threads that run through each one, but each conversation is meant to be its own unique patchworked experience. We'll talk about impact, pivots, mundanity, and wherever else our self-indulgence takes us. Now for the long version. If you're hopping off at this stop, please make sure to subscribe and follow Patchworked Pod on Instagram and Facebook so you can see who's coming up, ask a question, and tell us what you think of each episode. A little content warning here, I'm going to be talking about psychedelics. My whole life, I've struggled with this idea of fitting in. I was born in Namibia, a country in the southwest corner of the African continent, and while I spent chunks of my childhood there, I grew up in South Carolina. I was always watching my peers, trying to crack the code, trying to figure out how to avoid sticking out. I was also homeschooled. I loved reading and learning. I loved playing music. I loved spending time with friends. I was a huge nerd. And even though I have always contained multitudes, I have tried many times to fit myself into an idea of what I thought I was supposed to be, based on what I perceived others to be, even though they were likely hiding their own multitudes for the same reason. So a few years ago, I had a psychedelically inspired vision of myself as a child. I think it was meant to represent my inner child. And I was swinging around on a playground like a little monkey with no inhibitions. I also noticed that I was completely covered in patches. I don't know if my body was patchworked or if it was my clothes, but this image stuck with me as someone who isn't the most polished and poised, but who was living an authentic, joyful life with all pieces of herself fully on display. In 2021, I had a kid. And I got completely and irrevocably and joyfully and stressfully immersed in the identity of mom. This is a part of me that I am so thankful for. And I also have to be so intentional about reminding myself that there are other patches in my life that are part of my identity. Good conversations with a variety of people are a huge part of helping me remember all my patches, and I can't wait to dive in on these conversations. I run a video production studio and I'm in a band. I'm sure those and any current side projects will come up, but I'll make sure that any shameless plugs are at least interesting. Thank you for coming along on this journey. I'll see you in the next episode.